A man woke up in his sleep to find something bizarre. His car had gone into a ditch. He tried to remember what happened last night. He remembers hitting a motorcycle. Before he could figure it out, a voice rang out from the side. A strange man approached him. Jeff didn't recognize him at all, but the man said he was driving a motorcycle and was hit by him. Jeff tried to remember and then remembered that it did happen, but looking at the man in front of him was not injured. Jeff was glad that he didn't have to pay for his medical bills, but the man felt particularly strange. How could such a big accident happen without both of them being injured? He asked Jeff if he remembered the accident, but Jeff recalled that he did hit his head at that time. The strange thing is why there is no trauma now. Is it possible that he has superhuman powers? But the man on the other side doesn't think so. He guessed that both of them were dead, and now there was only a soul left. Jeff just couldn't believe it. He rushed to the side of the car, and there he saw his own body. He was so scared that he panicked on the spot, but the man was very calm. He even comforted Jeff, but Jeff was very upset. He was barely 50 years old. How could this be possible? Even though the man was telling him to accept the reality, but Jeff just couldn't believe it. Seeing that Jeff was so stubborn, the man simply took out Jeff's body so that he could face the truth for himself, but the truth was right in front of his eyes. He still thinks it's impossible. He even thought it was all a dream. While the two men were arguing and discussing, there was the sound of a car turned around and saw a passerby driving by. Jeff thought to himself that this was finally a save. He immediately caught up to block the pass. Jeff carefully guided the passerby forward. The man on the side was still trying to persuade Jeff, but what they did not expect was the passerby squatted on the ground, started to look for Jeff's wallet. Jeff looked dumbfounded. Really cannot see himself? But before Jeff could catch his breath, the man walked straight back to leave. Now Jeff was completely baffled. It looked like he was really dead. Snow fell from the sky. There's a myth about it. It is said that the sign of white snow is a sign of going to heaven. Jeff thought he was going to heaven, but the man asked him if he'd done anything bad. Jeff remembered that he strangled his wife, but in his opinion it was not a bad thing, because his wife was very sick at the time. That's why he helped her to end her suffering. But the man didn't see it that way. Jeff had a human life on his hands. He's probably going to hell. And just then there was a popping sound. Neither man knew what was happening. When they looked back to take a closer look, there was a white door in front of them. Although they feel very surprised, but turn their heads and unconsciously happy. Is this the legendary door to heaven? But before they could react, there was another red door behind them. They couldn't understand. Two doors appeared at the same time. What's going on? Could it be that they were going to different places? And a very worried Jeff immediately panicked. He starts confessing to the air, claiming that he was just trying to end the pain and didn't really mean to hurt his wife. The man was ridiculously mocking. He thought Jeff must be the one going to hell. The man then walks towards the gates of heaven. Jeff came back to his senses and pushed the man away. He flew toward the gates of heaven, but Jeff didn't react. It seems that the white door is not for Jeff. The man on the other side laughed out loud. Obviously not everyone can go to heaven. He was sure there were two doors. Then they must be in different directions. Jeff was scared out of his wits by these words. Did he really have no chance to enter heaven? The man was probably posing as if he was about to leave. After saying goodbye to Jeff, he stepped out of the white door, but the man didn't react. Had there been a mistake? He turned around and started over. This time he was going to run straight through, but there was still no response. Now the man was completely confused. Jeff beside him rushed to reassure him to accept the reality. Suddenly there was a sound behind him. A little girl suddenly appeared on the side. The man was immediately shocked. The little girl recognized the murderer at once. It turns out that before the man was hit by Jeff's car, he had also hit someone, and the person he hit with his car was this girl.